December is an important month for us old school Counter-Strike players. When I was a kid, we'd get a month off from school for winter break in the early 2000s. Naturally, I'd nestle deep into my computer, eagerly exploring levels people made for CS. During this time, I discovered one of my favorite mapping styles, Xmas maps. It's funny looking back at my old Game Banana profile and seeing Xmus Crazy House listed as my favorite map all those years ago. So right off the bat, my favorite default Xmas maps in 1.6 are DE Survivor and CS Office. You gotta count these as Xmas maps simply due to the snow. There's something kinda cozy about these ones if you don't consider the stressful hostage and defusal situations happening. That won't hurt you guys. Office has great humor in it. Joe Mama. Wonder how that joke came to be. There's me with a little milk stash. And some lead speak. Roxor. That just means it rocks. For some reason this was a thing we did back then, adding Zor at the ends of things. Suxor and Haxor were popular ones. I don't think this lead speak stuff is coming back anytime soon. I used to have an AOL screen name Haxlord.
You've got mail.
I knew nothing about hacking and pretty much still don't. I always love this nook here, kind of my safe space. One detail that still impresses me are these cliffs. They just blend in so well with the skybox. On Survivor, the icy ravine just chills me every time I see it. And I'm always impressed by the geometry work of the crashed plane. Must have been a real mind bender to slap that together in the editor. Of course, 3D Mike is the only one who could figure that out. I do think the snow looks a little bit goofy. There's a server plugin that modernizes the snow, but the original will do just fine for me. Now those maps were my first love, but they don't have the Xmas prefix. So I will acknowledge FY Iceworld, Iceworld 2K, and Snow as Xmas maps, but Xmas maps are sort of a genre of their own. I can't be entirely sure who started it, but a good bet is our dear friend Nipper. OG Mapping Extraordinaire came out with a series of these Xmas maps, and I couldn't get enough of them. These maps have become a yearly tradition for me to play on or just walk through. We immediately have to talk about Xmas Nipper House. When it comes down to the Xmas style map, this one defines them to me. It's essentially CS Estate, but takes place in the author's home, and it's just perfect. The snow is falling, and everything just feels kinda jolly. I think the lighthearted SNL skit music playing in the background lightens the mood through all the destruction and chaos. Also, being able to drive a friggin' sleigh onto the roof is pretty goofy. This was my favorite way to assault the home. Popping off into the chimney for a sneak attack is so awesome. Outside of the home, aesthetically speaking, the mix of snow and this big ol' arch make for an iconic Xmas map. These wavy hills inspire stealth tactics. I loved using the trees as cover with a scout. So deadly. There's also this underground passage too. It allows for a more creative approach, although you make a lot of noise popping up through the back. That classic Half-Life rock breaking sound is kinda noisy, but just another route. I think it adds a lot. I love this map mainly because it inspired a whole crew of forum users over at the legendary Joe.2 site to create their own Xmas house maps. And a lot of these aren't well known. We got Xmas Ape House, Xmas FHM House, Xmas Ayaya House, and most importantly, Xmas Crazy House by me. Now, I started off my CS Nostalgia channel talking about this map, so you can check to see how it all started. In short, I talk about this map being inspired by Nipper, and surprisingly, it went on to be a massive success. Still played in servers to this day and has thousands of downloads. It's a pretty cool feeling. To me, it's the achievement of a lifetime to have a level go viral on the internet. I left my little mark on the Netscape, and I really can't ask for more in life. Ape House features a long, two-story home. A nice little slice of New English home design. And I can't get enough of Ape's room. I think we all had solace in our little spaces while playing CS, and that's felt in here. The lesser-known FHM house, FHM standing for Funny Hat Man and old school Cherry Clan member, highlights a pretty big house. And a big pizza. Once again, the creator's room, complete with posters and all the accoutrements of a young man's room. I love how maps like this capture a slice of life at the time for these creators. I can only wonder if they go back and walk around their rooms just to get a hit of that homey nostalgia. I also have to mention the supremely underrated Ayaya House. For whatever reason, this map didn't hit popularity heights like the others. featuring a high society house lit up in blue lighting. This place is pretty bougie. Tall ceilings and lots of space. Wish this one got a little more action back in the day, but it was sadly mostly off the radar. There's this newer Xmus house map. The title says it all, it's just an Xmus house sitting there waiting to be fought in. Best part is you can turn the lights off in the house. There's something about gold source lighting, it's just so special. Love how these rooms just glow. Xmus and house maps go hand in hand, and when I think of Xmus maps, I usually think of the house maps I played on. But we got more Xmus maps than just those. Moving on to Xmus Tree, this merges my two favorite genres into one. We got a little rats and a little Xmus mashed together in a wonderful night setting. With childlike imagination, I remember being a kid and thinking how cool it would be to be shrunk down under our Christmas tree. Thankfully, we have this map for that, and the entire tree is climbable. At the top is this little glider thing. Pretty much always died trying to get to it, but it's pretty freaking sweet zooming around the level watching for movement. Down at the bottom are drivable vehicles, classic A-Team van, Star Wars speeder, and a fire truck. It's the perfect touch for this map. That's a strange ornament. Now we're going to take a look at Xmus Lodge, another Nipper map. Now don't hate me, but I didn't grow up listening to the Beatles very often, but this map made me a fan. It's got that classic Xmus song you're probably all tired of hearing by now. Much better. Another estate-styled map with juicy Xmus lights circling the perimeter. And look at these little skis. Stuff like this is so special to me because it was made with tiny blocks in the editor program. No external 3D modeling software was needed to make these. You really can't beat Gold Source creativity. Now, still to this day, I don't have a clue what the layout of the lodge is. It's always been this confusing, twisting netherrealm to me, kind of like out of the Shining movie. I always wondered if it was based off of a real lodge, but nonetheless, a classic Xmus map. CS Snowflake isn't much for gameplay, but aesthetically speaking, this map captures the quaint atmosphere of the holidays. A warm house with dinner served, the mellow tones of classic holiday music, and the shut-down ski resort. But this spot here in particular really shines to me. You may just pass through it without actually taking your time to look at it. These parked cars bask in the street lamps is so cinematic. You just can't get this from modern games. There's something about that old school touch. Now this is an odd winter map, Cable Cars 3. Hope some of you guys are having an ancient nostalgia attack seeing this map again. It's really cool. There are two cable cars and they meet in the middle. You're able to drive the car from any place, which is pretty neat until you realize every other player can control it too. This resulted in a lot of trolling back in the day. Regardless, it's a lot of fun assuming your team is working together, boarding the enemy cable car and attempting to eliminate them. Although this map doesn't scream winter, that skybox sure does. So in my book, it gets the Xmas seal of approval. I really enjoy how servers this time of year cycle through Xmas versions of maps. DE Xmas Office Lethal 2013 features new routes and much more Christmas cheer over the original. I wish Valve made official holiday versions for us all those years ago. Wouldn't that be fun, logging in and seeing all the default maps covered in snow? Even snowy DE Dust maps gauge my interest again. I'm not the biggest Dust fan, but seeing it kitted out in Xmas mode makes it pretty exciting again. There's no counting how many Xmas versions of Dust there are, and same goes for so many other default maps. There's Assault versions, Italy versions, Inferno versions, and so many more. As the end of December nears, I hope you too load up 1.6 and walk around these maps. Take some time to reflect on memories from back when. Find that each winter I unlock new memories from my past while cruising through these maps. Winter levels have such an echo in them. I get these hard to explain feelings of peace from them. It's worth your while. Till next time, happy holidays.